Hello all, welcome to the next video session on storage area networks. In today's session, in this video, we'll be discussing IPSAN. So what do you mean by IPSAN and what are the protocols associated with it? Two primary protocols that leverage Internet Protocol as the transport mechanisms are the iSCSI and the Fiber Channel over IP, as we call it as FCIP. iSCSI is encapsulation of SCSI protocol over Internet Protocol, or SCSI-IO over the Internet Protocol. So iSCSI is an encapsulation of SCSI-IO over Internet Protocol. So it is also an Internet Protocol based protocol that establishes and manages connections between host and the storage over IP. iSCSI is widely adopted for connecting servers to storage because it is relatively inexpensive and easy to implement, especially in environments in which an fiber channel storage area network does not exist. So it's widely adopted mainly because it is inexpensive compared to fiber channel storage area network. As we can see in this diagram, it shows how the connections are managed between the host and storage over IP. Here we have a IP network. So here we have the storage arrays. So one storage array will be having a fiber channel port and one more storage array will be having a iSCSI port. So if the storage array has an iSCSI port, this IPSAN can be implemented directly, or else we need to have interconnecting device called as a iSCSI gateway in order to connect IP network through a FC port to establish connectivity between the host and the storage array. So if the storage array is having only fiber channel ports, we need to have an interconnecting device called as a iSCSI gateway to connect a host and to connect a host, that is iSCSI host bus adapter, to a fiber channel port. So this is how the iSCSI is implemented, or that is how the iSCSI establishes and manages connection between the host and the storage array. On the host array, we have the iSCSI host bus adapter. At the storage array, we may have either a iSCSI port or a normal FC port. If there is a iSCSI port, so no need of any interconnecting devices. If we have only fiber channel ports at the storage array, then we need to introduce a interconnecting device called as a iSCSI gateway. So SCSI commands and data into the IP packets and transports them using the TCP/IP. So that is what we just discussed. It is relatively inexpensive and easy to implement. So let us look at the components of iSCSI. An initiator, it's also called as a host, a target, which may be a storage array or iSCSI gateway, and an IP-based network are the key iSCSI components. If a iSCSI capable storage array is deployed, then a host with iSCSI initiator can directly communicate with the storage array over an IP network. However, in an implementation that uses an existing fiber channel array for iSCSI communication, an iSCSI gateway is used. These devices perform the translation of IP packets to fiber channel frames and vice versa, thereby bridging the connectivity between the IP and the fiber channel environments. So that is what we just looked in this particular diagram. So there may be iSCSI gateway which may act as a target, or the iSCSI storage array port that is a part of the storage array, that may be the target. iSCSI host bus adapter will be the initiator in most of the cases. Okay, we may have iSCSI initiator at the host, a target which may be iSCSI gateway or a storage array, and an IP based network. That are the key components of the iSCSI. So these devices perform the translation of IP packets to the fiber channel frames and vice versa, thereby bridging the connectivity between the Internet Protocol and fiber channel environments. Now let us look at the iSCSI host connectivity. A standard NIC with software iSCSI initiator, A TCP offload engine, or we call it as TOE-NIC, with software iSCSI initiator and an iSCSI host bus adapter are the three iSCSI host connectivity options. So we have a standard NIC with SCSI software iSCSI initiator, a TCP offload engine NIC network interface card with software iSCSI initiator, and an iSCSI host bus adapter. Now let us look at the functions of these three connectivity options. The function of the iSCSI initiator is to route the SCSI commands over an IP network. A standard network interface card with a software iSCSI initiator is the simplest and least expensive connectivity option. It is easy to implement because most servers come with at least one standard NIC, and in many cases two embedded network interface cards. It requires only a software initiator for iSCSI functionality because network interface cards provide standard IP function, encapsulation of SCSI into IP packets and decapsulation are carried out by the host CPU. This places additional overhead on the host CPU. So if you're using the NIC, standard NIC for iSCSI host connectivity, this is one of the most cost effective connectivity option out there. Now if a standard network interface card is used for heavy input output load situations, the host CPU might become a bottleneck. Okay, now that is a limitation with this standard NIC. If there is a heavy load of input output that needs to be carried out, in that case, so translation between the different IP packets, or translation from IP to FC, so that may be a burden for the host CPU. Now the TCP offload engine, or the TOE-NIC, helps elevate this limitation of the standard NIC. A TCP offload engine network interface card offloads the TCP management functions from the host and leaves only the iSCSI functionality to the host processor. So if we don't want to burden the host CPU with the task of translation of the TCP IP packets or the TCP IP management functions, if we don't want to burden the CPU with this TCP IP management functions, then we can go for TOE-NIC or the TCP offload engine NIC. The host passes the iSCSI information to the TOE card, and the TOE card sends the information to the destination using the TCP IP. Although this solution improves the performance, the iSCSI functionality is still handled by the software initiator and thus requires the CPU cycles. The third iSCSI host connectivity option that we have is an iSCSI HBA. An iSCSI HBA is capable of providing performance benefits because it offloads entire iSCSI and TCP processing from the host processor. The use of an iSCSI host bus adapter is also the simplest way to boost host from a SAN environment, or to boost host from the SAN environments via the iSCSI. If there is no iSCSI host bus adapter, modifications must be made to the basic operating system to boot a host from the storage devices, because the network interface card needs to obtain an IP address before the operating system loads. The functionality of this iSCSI HBA, it is similar to the functionality of the fiber channel host bus adapter. So remember, there are three iSCSI host connectivity options. We have a standard NIC with software SCSI initiator. We have a TOE NIC with software SCSI initiator, and we have an iSCSI HBA. Out of these three things, iSCSI standard NIC with a software iSCSI initiator is the most cost effective option, but the limitation here is the CPU will be burdened with the task of TCP management process. Okay, now if you want to offload this TCP management task from the host CPU, we can go for this TOE NIC, but again here also the iSCSI functionality, it is still handled by the host CPU. So if you want to overcome the limitation of both these connectivity option, we can go for iSCSI host bus adapter, which is similar to the fiber channel host bus adapter. So that is your iSCSI connectivity. There are three options. Let us proceed. iSCSI topology. Let us see what are the different topologies we can have in this iSCSI. So there are two basic topologies. We can have the native iSCSI connectivity. The second one we have is something called as bridged iSCSI connectivity. Although we can also have a third one which combines both the fiber channel and the native iSCSI connectivity. Let us first try to understand what do you mean by native iSCSI connectivity. Native topology does not have any fiber channel components. As you can see, we do not have any fiber channel ports, okay, in this particular connectivity option. This native topology does not have any fiber channel components. The initiator may be either directly attached to the targets or connected through the IP network. The initiator and the targets may be connected directly or through an IP network. The fiber channel components are not required for iSCSI connectivity if an iSCSI enabled array is deployed. As you can see in this storage array, the storage array comes with the iSCSI port. Hence, we do not need any iSCSI gateway because we are not using the fiber channel ports. As shown in the figure, the array has only one or more iSCSI ports configured with an IP address that is connected to a standard Ethernet switch. After an initiator is logged onto the network, it can access the available logical unit numbers on the storage array. A single array port can service multiple hosts or initiators as long as the array port can handle amounts of storage traffic that the hosts generate. So remember, in native iSCSI connectivity, there are no fiber channel components such as the fiber channel ports. Now let us look at the next iSCSI topology, that is the bridged iSCSI connectivity. Bridged topology enables the coexistence of fiber channel with the IP by providing iSCSI to fiber channel connectivity functionality or iSCSI to fiber channel bridging functionality. For example, the initiators can exist in an IP environment while the storage remains in a fiber channel environment. As it is observed in this diagram, we have the servers and the storage array. Now if this server wants to connect with this storage array, now this storage array is present in a SAN environment or the fiber channel environment, whereas the server is present in a IP environment. Now this bridged iSCSI connectivity is used to connect a host in an IP network to a storage area that is present in a storage area network. In this case, the array does not have any SCSI ports. As we can see, we do not have any iSCSI ports here. Only ports that are available on the storage array are the fiber channel ports. Therefore, an external device called as a gateway or a multi-protocol router must be used to facilitate the communication between the iSCSI host and the fiber channel storage. Since there are no iSCSI ports available on the storage array, in this bridged iSCSI connectivity, we need to use an external device called as a iSCSI gateway or a multi-protocol router to facilitate the communication between the iSCSI host and the fiber channel storage. The gateway or the iSCSI gateway converts IP packets to the fiber channel frames and vice versa. The bridge devices connect both the fiber channel and Ethernet ports to facilitate the communication between the fiber channel and the IP environment. As we can see, we have two different networks here. This network is the Internet Protocol net or the IP network, and this is the storage area network. So this connectivity bridges two different networks in order to establish connectivity between the host and a storage array. In a bridged iSCSI implementation, the iSCSI initiator is configured with the gateway's IP address as its target destination. On the other side, the gateway is configured as an FC initiator on the storage array. So initially, this host will be the initiator and this iSCSI gateway will be treated as a target. Similarly, for the storage area network, this iSCSI gateway will be treated as an initiator and the storage array will be treated as a target. Now let us look at the third topology, that is combination of FC and native iSCSI connectivity. The most common topology is a combination of fiber channel and native iSCSI. Typically, a storage array comes with both fiber channel and iSCSI ports that enable iSCSI and fiber channel connectivity in the same environment as it is shown in this particular diagram. So this is combining both fiber channel and native iSCSI connectivity. So we may have a storage array that comes with both iSCSI ports as well as a fiber channel port. In such a scenario, we do not have to use that iSCSI gateway because we already have a iSCSI port here. So this storage array can support both native iSCSI connectivity as well as your normal storage area network. So this storage array can connect to two different networks, the IP network as well as the storage area network. So this is what we call as combining fiber channel and native iSCSI connectivity using different types of ports on a storage array.